Hello, it's Monday. I am ready with a topic that is a really super important one, like super duper important. And the topic came to me through kind of a lot of, sorry, I was just checking the microphone. It came because some stuff happened and it reminded me of the truth of all truths, that it's something that we all should check ourselves on. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, because it has a tremendous impact on your life. And that is, who are you allowing to speak into your life? I actually, after I came up with the topic and I started to take my notes, I watched this incredible message. I can't even remember who was talking about it. Gosh, so because I spent the weekend really filling my tank, getting ready to travel some more, and I for me, I've said this to you, I have to listen and feed my soul and prepare myself. So I spent the weekend doing that, and it was just all about how there may be a vision or a dream, a pursuit in your life. And sadly, sometimes people literally let people talk them out of it. 9 times out of 10, the people that are talking you out of it are people that aren't doing that much with their lives anyway. So that's just a good rule of thumb. We've seen it through the years. We operate in such an interesting world where we literally come to people and you're presenting an opportunity. And I know most of you probably would assume that then that just becomes a natural, oh yes, that sounds great, I want to do that. Or maybe initially somebody will feel that way, and then all of a sudden the doubters, they start filling their head, and it's a crazy thing, but you can let people talk you out of what you're supposed to be doing. So, or let people fill your head with negative things. So it's so important that you're careful about who you allow to speak into your life. I also heard somebody recently talk about how the more successful you become, the more you achieve, for the most part, the smaller your circle gets. And I think that part of that is for that very reason, that in order to protect the flames of what you're doing, your pursuit, your goal, your endeavor, you have to protect who you allow in and what kind of things they speak into your heart, because you take it in. I love how Maya Angelou would say that words are things. They're literal, tangible things, because words speak life, or words can speak death. They can speak doubt, they can speak fear, or they can speak encouragement. The powerful impact that the right word in season can keep you going. And I was watching a message yesterday too that was talking about people wandering in the wilderness, and that they were wandered for 40 years. And then you can have one person look at it and see this is a great opportunity, and you can take it and go with it, go follow this. And then somebody else with a different perspective can say, don't do it, something bad might happen. Yesterday I was at the grocery store, and I realized people are getting a little paranoid about the coronavirus. I get it, but I also think that sometimes we can get a little crazy about it. So I'm walking through our grocery store here called Deerberg's, and I come around the lane, and there's 2 women standing with carts talking to each other, and one literally has rubber gloves on. So she's holding rubber gloves, pushing her cart, and the other woman was, I don't know if they knew each other, but I kind of caught in the conversation as I passed that she was getting ready to fly, and this woman was like, well, be careful, and you know, make sure that you're protecting yourself. And then she went on to say I'm just a really super self-conscious person. I'm just a worrier. That's just who I am. And I was like, oh my God, the things that you're saying about yourself are declarations about yourself. And don't say that about yourself. Don't say that. That, to me, I would catch myself if that's what I was saying to myself. Also, just letting people talk to you about things that they know nothing about. I think now more than ever, and I think social media has a big part of it, you don't have to comment on everything, or you don't have to have an opinion on everything. Or even better, you can have an opinion, but there's something really great about keeping your opinion to yourself. If somebody is wanting to pursue something, an endeavor or a business, or they want to try something new, I just think you should always err on the side of go for it. Life is short, why not go for it? I think I've mentioned this before. I don't know where I heard it, but it was something I heard. I know when I heard it. I know it was when my kids were little, when Elliot and Olivia were like, I don't even know if they were in school yet. Tiana is 8 years older, but I remember at that time they were young, and I was driving listening to something on the radio, and they were talking about how all of us are offered a cup of sorrow, meaning maybe it's a generational thing from a family member, or maybe it's a friend or an associate who has things that aren't very positive that they want to give you to partake in. And it doesn't mean, I'm not talking about being an empathetic friend. That's a completely different thing. I'm talking about taking in stuff that really in the long run is negative, and it breaks your spirit, and it starts to bring doubt and fear. Those kinds of things you have to be aware of and fight them, in the sense of choosing to look at the bright side, choosing to see it for what it is. All of our models have so many different personalities, just like raising kids. Your kids have different personalities, or you may have friends or people on a team where everybody's different. But the reality is, for the person who has a tendency to guard their heart, guard their ears, and not let negativity seep in, guess what? It's the whole garbage in, garbage out. Well, you don't want to take it in because it will end up coming out, and protecting yourself from it. I was thinking about this as I was working on my notes, that we worked with a few people. We no longer work with either of them. But they were two kind of, there's times where you'll have people that are kind of a part of your extended team. And one person in particular, at first I was like, oh, she's so funny. She has this sarcastic, sense of humor. But over time, I realized then the sarcasm turned into negativity. And then I realized that the negativity started to be pointed at people in a really critical, kind of snarky way. And these were people that I think that they thought that she was their friend. And I remember at the time going, wow, this is taking a turn where it's just negative. If somebody's kind of always talking negative about other people, guess what? They're talking that way about you too. And if there's a way that maybe there's in your workplace, or somebody that you have to be around, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, you know what, I don't want to hear this. Or not even saying that, just stepping away. Or literally, I'm such a visual person, I will literally think of things going in this ear and out the other, because I don't want to take that in. I don't want it to manifest. I know that what we feed ourselves has an impact on our soul, and I don't want to listen to a lot of negative criticism. I can't. I really feel like it impacts me in a big way. So protecting yourself from letting people fill you with things that in the long run are going to be a disservice to you is a really important thing. Be aware how people are speaking to you. And, I've seen this in our business where We've had models who sadly had family members that were not encouraging and not positive and supportive. And when someone is under the age of 18, obviously I would never contradict what a parent is saying, but I also think at one point or another in your life, if you really want to pursue something and you feel strongly about it, you have to take it with a grain of salt and trust what your little small inner voice is telling you, and just don't let people should on you. You should do this and you should do that, because you don't want to get to a point where you look back and regret. One of my favorite books, I actually have a stack of them, and I think I've talked about this too, but I love this book called The Dream Giver. What I love about it, it's a parable, but I like that basically it's a story of this person and the determination to not let people with negative voices get in their head to pursue the dreams that they have in their heart, and realizing that you can make a conscious choice of who you listen to, I'm even that way about music. Like there's times where, you just want to hear something fun or something old or whatever, but then there's also a time where I need music to fill my soul so that I can stay on the path of everything that I know that I'm supposed to be doing. The other thing that ends up happening, back to the voices, is what do you say when you talk to yourself? Learning how to speak to yourself in a kind and gentle way will make you that way with other people. And it'll set a pattern in your life that you really can't measure how great it is. I was listening to Kutcher on a podcast today with Dak Shepard, and he was talking about just that very concept of just protecting yourself. I just think it's just important, especially if you have something that you're really fueling in your life. You can't measure the value of it. And they were talking about the foster care system and how there are kids that never hear that they're loved and that they're supported, and that the beauty of speaking words into somebody's life can literally change the trajectory of their life. It's an important thing. And lastly, what are you saying to yourself within the confines of your relationships? I think it's super important to set the tone, and there's nothing wrong with saying, when you say this to me, it makes me feel this way, and owning the communication that you allow with the people in your life. I mean, it literally is the best way to protect and keep that spirit and that fuel on a positive note. Because at the end of the day, if you start to allow people to fill your head with criticism, with fear, with doubt, it can really have an impact and make you do and say things that are not in your best interest. That's the bottom line. So be aware. Keep that your ears open. I pray about it and really ask to have the spirit of discernment, of hearing. Are you saying this to me because it's what you want? Or are you really saying this to me because you're not pursuing this in your life, so you don't want me to pursue it in mine? Les Brown is an old motivational speaker from, I think he still does it, but I remember in the 80s and 90s, he was big deal, and I got to see him speak once, and he was talking to this big group of people, and he said to the group that when people start coming at you with negativity, that really it's because they are looking at you and they're not willing to do what you're willing to do, and so the only way that they can kind of keep you at their level is to tear you down and discourage you. So be aware of it. Be aware of it and put up boundaries so that doesn't happen. I hope that this helps you to really be aware of how you allow people to talk to you and how you talk to yourself. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next Monday.